Hello and welcome to Opening the Gates to More Listings for Estate Agents with me, Simon Gates. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Mr. Peter Rawlings. Peter, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure, an absolute honour to have you on the podcast. I'm going to embarrass you now because when I started this podcast in the summer of 2022, there were some very high-profile names within the industry, both in this country and across the world that I had, and your name was on there.
I am honoured.
So
Thank you.
To have you on the podcast is incredible.
Well,
so
great.
I'm hoping some of my research, I was very impressed that you've been researching me as well ahead of this. So in terms of my research for yourself, if I was to say the year 1985.
Sure. December.
Okay, there we go. Right, so what does December 1985 mean to you?
Well, that's when I'd left a company called Lane Fox, who were the poshest agents in the world, and joined Foxtons. I was about the 21st employee in an absolute riot of a business. It was the original disruptor, and it was an extraordinary experience going from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, till 9 till 9, 7 days a week. So yeah, December 85.
So you'll have to excuse my ignorance here then, because I just assume that in the 80s, just what you just said in terms of hours of Foxtons, that was the norm for everyone. So it wasn't a norm.
Oh, you're joking.
Okay.
Oh my God. The 80s estate agency was in London.
Okay, yeah.
Was stuff full, in central London, stuff full of ex-public school boys, mostly boys, not girls,
Okay.
Ex-army officers who just sort of rather bluntly played at it. And it was,
Okay, yeah.
it wasn't a proper go-get-em type atmosphere or business. And it was a lovely existence. I mean, my Lane Fox existence was, I was based in Grosvenor Square in London, but selling country houses. So a couple of days a week, I drove out to the country, saw lovely country houses, came back in. I wrote up all the details because I was the office boy, and that was about it. And it was a very lovely, gentle existence. And then Foxtons was brutal and exciting and fun, but brutal.
Was it that exciting, fun thing that made you decide to move there in December 85? What was it?
Not really. I'd been at Lane Fox for 3 years. I was paid $4,250 a year, no commission.
Okay.
So it was my paycheck every month was 245 quid.
Okay.
So that was tough to live on. And I was midway through getting qualified as a surveyor. And then Foxtons was $3,500 a year, plus a car, plus commission.
Okay.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
And so it was in there, 10% commission, in the Fulham office, selling incredible amounts of houses, because I joined at the first 0%. So we got nearly 400 houses on the market in a 3-month period, and was just unbelievably busy. Much, much, much busier than I've ever experienced in my life.
So that strategy you talk about there, the 0%, for those listening who are maybe living under a rock and not familiar with that strategy, can you just talk through the famous strategy? Yeah.
I mean, it was a very brave decision. It wasn't my decision. I was 23 years old and into my second proper job. Foxtons was a tiny agent, one office in Notting Hill Gate, tiny, and we opened the second office in Fulham, which is, for those who don't know, about 3 miles from Notting Hill. Lots of population, lots of chimney pots, and we did 0%, which means we will sell your house for nothing. And it was basically a loss leader to gain instructions. So we went from number 47th agent in Fulham to the number 1 agent in Fulham in 3 months, and boards everywhere, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's a massive, brilliant marketing gambit, and everyone was coming in, lots of people were coming in saying, "So you're a national agent then?" Because we shouted so much and so loudly that everyone thought we were enormous, and we were 20 odd people.
Because I say to a lot of agents, they think that they're posting, let's say, I'll use social media as an example, but they think they're posting too much. And it's like, I promise you, people don't even realize you exist. You've got to be out there so much. And it's like when a new movie gets released, like it's plastered everywhere, right? There's trailers, they go all around the world, they do their red carpets. It's like when you get a new property to market, you don't just kind of whisper it. No. You've got to shout from the rooftops.
No, you absolutely have. And also, one thing I've learned, and you'll know much better than me, that different people come in at different stages. So whilst I think, and I nearly said no to this podcast, because I've done a lot. And I think, geez, no one wants to know this anymore. You know, they've heard all this, but actually different groups of people hear it at different stages. So there'll be someone here that hopefully listen to it that will not know that sort of thing. And it is, I think, interesting and useful.
Yeah. So fast forward then to 1997. So it's kind of an interesting time in the market. So go to Foxtons December 85. Markets sort of booming along, and then sort of early 90s comes along, and
89, 90, 91. 3 horrible years of recession, much worse than the 2008-9 one, much worse. And we got through it, and it was very frightening. But we got through it and learnt a lot, as one does in all recessions. Yeah. And then I took over in 97, is when I took over as MD at Foxtons.
10 offices.
10 offices.
At that time.
Yeah.
Okay, and how old would you have been then?
I was born in 62, so 31, 30, no, 30,
35,
that sort of thing.
Okay, and turnover was 10 million?
It was about 10 million. Yeah, it was a small, I mean, you know, it was, I have a graph on some of the presentations I do, which shows you the growth of Foxtons, which is an extraordinary graph that does that, and then that, and then that, and then that, and then that.
Yeah.
And that. And suddenly, as with all businesses, it gets momentum.
Yeah.
And in 97, not just because of me, I'd like to think that, but it definitely wasn't, just not because of me, we got momentum. And the graph literally is like the archetypal hockey stick.
Yeah.
And so we took off then. The market was with us. John Hunt is a genius, and he was let go to work on the business. I was working in the business, and I was running and pushing and growing those 10 offices, and soon we grew a lot more, and we introduced structure into the business, which we'd never had before. I joke, we used to say to a negotiator, come in, there's your desk, there's your phone, there's your car, get on, do some sales. Yeah. And salesmen need to be organized. They're not organized. Most of them will take every opportunity to be lazy, for want of a better word. They'll do stuff that doesn't make money. So we focus them on various times and various points in the day. And I still think this is the holy grail of estate agency. And it was a remarkable transformation. We went from 10 million to 40 million in about 5 years, probably not even. Okay. By focus, we grew, obviously we grew, because we were incredibly successful, incredibly profitable. So we opened offices, we employed a lot more people. I had sort of 25 to 30 people per office, big offices, and we grew very quickly. But I firmly believe it is a structure in a day that ensures success. Yeah.
During COVID, Tom Panos over in Australia said too many agents were in pajama mode, I think he called it.
Sure.
And kind of in COVID times, there was, you weren't going to an office and you sort of get up and be in your pajamas half a day.
Yep.
And
disaster.
I see it with so many agents when, what's the saying? Show me your diary, I'll show you your paycheck kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the amount of sort of agents like, right, share your screen on Zoom, show us your diary. And it's like just empty. I'm like, okay, so your Wednesday is empty. Why is it not blocked out? So in between these times we're door knocking, we're letter dropping, right. We're recording content. It's like you've got to design everything.
Absolutely. Well, the target at Foxtons in those days was to book 10 appointments a day and do 10 appointments a day. And so we were 8 till 8. We were 9 till 12 call out, making those 10 appointments.
Yeah.
12 till 2 viewings, 2 till 4 more call out if you hadn't made the appointments, or view checks, or file checks, and 4 till 8 showing properties. Yeah. So it was tough. And we had the volume, we had the stock, far more stock than we've got now, and so we could do it. You can't do that now, I don't think. The market's not busy enough.
Yeah.
But still, you need that structure. The structure is the key.
Okay. And I want to go back to something you said about John Hunt. I found it really interesting, the point you said of he was working on the business and you were working in the business. So just how important is that to have kind of, I say, that double act where someone is working on it and someone in it? Because I see too many people going to business with each other who are the same. Yeah. Whereas you kind of need to go with someone who's you yin to your yang and vice versa.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's no getting away from it. John changed the market, changed the industry in an incredible way, and he was, an inspirational guy, and so he had the vast majority of the the minis, Foxtons minis. It probably wasn't his idea, but he put the marketing out there, got marketing agencies to present, and then chose the one. And he had an innate ability to choose the right thing, 0% for a start, which is a very brave move. It's extraordinarily expensive.
He must have had so many people saying, "You're mad. That's commercial suicide," right?
We were loathed in the early days of Foxtons.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated. And we used to get calls in the evenings, berating us. Anyway, I love that sort of stuff. It's I find it fun. I like to be a disruptive influence on any industry, any thought process. I like to disrupt. I think it's healthy. I think it's essential. And I think people that just go along with the status quo, they'll do fine. But if you want to be a billionaire, which is what John is now, then you've got to disrupt.
Yeah. So, in terms of disruptions, we then fast forward to 2005, and then Marsh Parsons. So, what was that like going there after having spent 20 years?
20 years.
20 years at Foxtons. Because going back, I think I was saying this before we hit record, where Sam Hunter, who we both know, where I was leaving the estate agency behind to go to home search, so out of agency to supplier after 13 years, let's say. And I was questioning myself that whole month of quitting to start a new job. I was like, am I doing the right thing? So what was that like for you after 20 years?
It was very emotional.
Yeah.
Foxtons it was and still is, I'm going to say, a cult in a good way.
Yeah, I get that.
You are absolutely, you are blinded, blinkered. I've said this many times. We had, I'm sure still have, but had an expression at Foxtons. If it was under offer with another agent, it was under offer EA. And the E in that stood for enemy. Enemy agent, under offer enemy agent.
Okay.
And so that was the style of the business that we encouraged people to think there is only one place to be, and it's Foxtons, and nothing else exists out there. They're all a bunch of useless estate agents. It's not true, but that's what we did. So it was incredibly emotional, and I was sad to go, but it was the right time. I'd met a new business partner in Australia, and we got together and we bought Marsh Parsons, which was. Do you want to talk about Marsh Parsons?
So a quote from your LinkedIn
Yeah.
was excellent brand, but sleepy and ineffectual.
Sure, absolutely. It was like an old duffer who was sort of waddling around Kensington to Chelsea, and sort of everyone loved him, but he was pretty ineffective. And it was lovely. He was a really nice guy. If I'm doing that analogy, he was a really nice guy, but just didn't sell much. So it was a lovely business, really lovely, great brand. 7 offices, 6 in the Royal Borough of Kensington, Chelsea, which is obviously a great place to be. And it just needed a bit of Foxtonization. And as I've often said, I left some of the bits of Foxtons that I didn't like and didn't think were effective, and I brought lots of the way of working and the attitude of people and the new people. I took over about 50-something people in the business, and within a pretty short period of time, and I'm talking months, 90% had gone.
Okay.
Because they weren't there to work, they were there to just exist.
Okay, interesting. And so I've read in a book recently, you've got 3 different types of people. You've got those who have a job. It's a 9 to 5, you take your hours lunch, you take all your holiday, and it pays your bills. You've then got people who've got a career where they'd like to work their way up the ladder, get to a certain position, and then some have a calling. So as cringy as it sounds, kind of my calling is I always wanted to be involved in a estate agency. But I found it difficult when I was employed. So I've only had 2 employed jobs where others around me, it was just a job. But for me, it was a calling. So how do you go about finding the right people and then keeping hold of those people as well?
You have to kiss a lot of frogs.
Am I right in saying, sorry, I'm really going to cut across you. I'm sure I would have heard on a podcast before about, would it be like a famous sort of networking or drinks where people would come in and you'd work the room?
A lot of frogs, as I said. No, at Foxtons, because we were in growth mode, and it was incredibly busy, unbelievably busy. I used to interview roughly 60 people a week. 60. And that took it was either 2 or 3, I would call them drinks parties. okay,
Yep.
in Chiswick Park, which is pretty close to where we are now, massive office, and 20-ish people would come in at a time. We would take their photographs as they came in, and then they would come into a room, rather like this one, and I would mix and mingle. I'd offer them a drink. We would offer them a drink, beer or wine or water. It wasn't a catch. And
There wasn't a catch.
no catch, absolutely not. No. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, there was," but there really wasn't. I didn't give a toss whether they had a beer or wine or water. It was them I was interested. And then I would work the groups. So I and 2 or 3 other people would work a group, 3 or 4 people at a time. I'd say, "Hi, how you doing? What's your name?"
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. And quick. And then they would go out one by one to see a director who's sitting in a room and have a 10-minute interview, no more. And then at the end of the evening, we would put all their photographs up on the wall, and we would vote between, there's about 7 or 8 of us who had seen them all and had an interaction with them all. And I think you can tell pretty quickly if they've got chances. Yeah. So I would take lots of chances. If they were an absolute, definitely never give me a estate agent, it was a no. Okay. But we would say yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. And they would start work the next Monday.
And where did you find these people?
Lots of marketing advertising. We put we would take a quarter page in the Times on a Saturday.
Okay.
We would do lots of local advertising. We would do there was no job boards or anything like that. So it was pretty tough, but it was a great place to be. Lots of universities. We got a lot of young people. It is especially then, very much a young person's business.
I find it really interesting everything you've been saying there, because everyone I ever speak to says they fell into a estate agency.
I did.
And I'm one of only a few I know of. Actually, you've got myself and have you ever met Perry Power?
Of course.
So Perry speaks very highly of you, because you're the goat of estate agency, and become really good friends with Perry. Myself and Perry both grew up wanting to be estate agents.
It's a good thing. It's a great job.
But it is a great job, and how do we get that out there to the public? 'Cause it's such a
that's a big one. I mean, it is a great job, and I loved it. I mean, I probably haven't sold a house for 30 years. I stepped away to work on the business rather than in the business, which is what I like building. You're either a lifestyle or you're an empire builder, and I think you are one or the other. Yeah. I was always an empire builder. I learnt that from John, because John was definitely an empire builder. So you have to do a few things, and the first thing is put your fees up, because you have to be able to pay these people proper money. And we'll probably talk about it later, which is the broker model, which has a very interesting, fascinating offering. I mean, really, it's not for everyone, but it is a fascinating offering. And it enables people to be in their own business and make a shitload of money when they do well. But if you charge 0.5% or 1% and you don't charge marketing, then you haven't really got a chance of employing great people.
So on the broker side, I assume when you say broker, self-employed, yeah. So I think what I've found is quite a few self-employed agents, when they go out on their own and they go, well, hang on a minute, if I charge this and I'm keeping 70% of whatever it is, they go, God, look at how much I'm going to earn compared to when I was on the high street. And then they go, well, I don't have an office cost and all these other costs, so I can charge the seller less. And it's like, no, you should be charging them more if you're going to give them a concierge service from start to finish. And when you see a lot of I like my numbers. When I see posts online, it's quite easy to quickly work out when someone says, I've sold X amount of value property, or this is a commission I've earned. It's like, quickly work it out and go, well, you're charging less than 1% there. Exactly. So you're buying a market rather than...
You're leaving so much on the table. And you don't need to. As you say, the whole purpose and point of a broker agent or a self-employed agent is you give them amazing personal service, much better than they get with any of the corporates. It's you they're buying, and therefore you don't come cheap. And if you do come cheap, you probably shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Yeah. Because it's not the point. The whole point is raising standards. You want to say, I'm going to be more than these guys because you're getting me. Not I'm going to be less because I can afford to be less. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So on the fees then, going back to something you said earlier about the structure at Foxtons.
That was a time management structure. I mean,
so time management structure, but then when it comes to fees, I'm assuming from what you said, if someone said to Simon working at Foxtons, will you negotiate on your fee? The answer was no.
Definitely not, ever. Never. Because once you go down that path, that slippery slope, it's a miserable existence. You go down and you go down and you down, and you pay your people less and less and less, and you get worse and worse and worse people. You know, it is night follows day. That's what will happen, and that's what has happened. And that's why it is tough to. It's always amazed me. You can earn a lot of money as an estate agent, a hell of a lot, but it's not a particularly sought after job. It should be. You're basically your own boss because you're getting paid a basic, hopefully, plus lots of personal commission. You determine to some extent your own time. You're not stuck behind a desk. You're not stuck in front of a phone all day. You're getting out, showing real things to real people. It's a brilliant job.
I think a line Tom Panos, to quote him again, says is real estate, as they would say, is the highest paying hard work, lowest paying easy work.
Yeah.
It's like you do get out of it what you put in.
Sure.
I think that's what attracted me to it. Was I never did great at school. I was never going to go on to university, and I wasn't particularly academic, but I liked the psychology of sales. I really loved customer service, so doing what you said you were going to do. And then I've always been an admirer of marketing, and I hope that's going to segue back nicely into Marsh Parsons, because you're very well known for some brilliant marketing over the years at Marsh Parsons. So can we talk a bit about that?
Sure. I mean, it's I'm very proud of that. It was it took a lot of doing, and again, I said about John and the Minis. You know, I didn't come up with those ideas, but I found someone that could, and that's the key of a business. You have to hunt high and low to find the very best people who will identify what your business is all about, your tone, your tone of voice, how you present yourselves, and then come up with something interesting. You know, to get to that campaign, and I presume it's talking about the people campaign, which is on the tubes and the buses, and it's all about people, because it is all about people. Talking about kissing frogs again, I saw so many marketing agencies who came up with the same old bullshit, which is, you know, we're better than the rest, we'll get you a better price, we'll, you know, all the boring old stuff that every agent can say. Yeah. So what we wanted to do is come up with a campaign. I'll tell you about that in a minute, that no one could copy without looking ridiculous.
Okay.
Because if someone tried to copy that, they'd say, well, that's Marsh Parsons.
Yeah, okay.
Which, you know, has a dual effect of making them look ridiculous and reminding them that it's a Marsh Parsons. So that campaign could have carried on forever. But Dexters who bought Marsh Parsons canned it and don't understand, in my view, marketing. They make a lot of money. They're a very successful business, but they don't understand marketing, and that's what grew Marsh and Parsons into, I'd like to think, an also ran fuddy-duddy old business into one of the, I would say, one of the prime go-get-'em businesses in London, with a classic with a twist. Was our internal strapline. It was a classic brand with a twist of something. That's nice, or that's punchy. You know, something has to give. You have to stand out from the crowd in any business you're in, especially in agency, because it is so noisy out there. Everybody is trying to say, oh, I'm the best, you know. Hence why I chose, I didn't come up with the idea, but I chose chocolate brown as our corporate colour. No one else has it. It was standing out from the crowd. Yeah.
So when it comes to marketing and trying to stand out on what you said, I couldn't help but think back to some marketing campaigns we did at Michael Graham, where I was, and a lot of our USP in the Bucks, Beds, Northants kind of market was, we'll get the London buyers to you.
Sure.
And the way in which it was done, we had, I can't remember her name, and I'm going to say she's a cartoonist, and she'd draw like cartoons, and they'd be in like Country Life.
Yep.
And we had Annie Tempest was her name.
Oh yeah.
And she did these brilliant drawings, and the one that really stuck in my mind was these cartoons done, and it's a lady outside her lovely grand house in the country, and it's snowing, and there's a Michael Graham sold board, and she's scraping the snow off a windscreen of her car with an Oyster card, and the line was, "See, darling, I told you we'd have use for the Oyster card in the country."
Yeah. Nice.
And it was brilliant. And when I left Michael Graham in early 2020, that we used to have these calendars, and it would have those cartoons on. I think I had 5 or 6 people ring or message me saying, I haven't had your calendar this month. I said, I'm awfully sorry, I don't work there anymore. So, because that was I would send out the calendars to people. I don't know what happened at that point, but
someone gave up.
Well, so on that point, it's funny. Where am I going to go with this? I won't say too much on it, 'cause it wouldn't be fair. But I remember being in a board meeting, so a dozen branch organisation, and this was at head office. And go downstairs after the board meeting, I pick up this cardboard box with loads of leaflets in it, basically, and take it away. And I'm putting these leaflets in people's living rooms for the campaign at the time. Fast forward a month, we're back in the meeting, and the MD to the managers, right? So how are the public with X, Y, Z? Yeah, they're not buying into it. And he's like, that's interesting, because all the boxes are downstairs bar one.
Brilliant. Well
Simon,
done.
how's it all going? Yeah,
Good
I'm actually
for you.
getting quite good traction from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can lead a horse to water. I mean, really, unless you get on and do it, nothing will happen. No one's going to do it for you, and it's not going to happen by itself.
So on that point, the amount of times I have conversations with agents, I was having one this week where it's like they're worrying about the Pantone. So you mentioned about the colour of a brand, but they're spending so much time saying, is that the right hex code of my brand? And it's like, in the 2 weeks you've deliberated over that, someone else has knocked on loads of doors, sent out letters, produced social media content, and they're winning business.
Yeah, I sort of agree with that. I know what you're getting at, but I was incredibly focused on things had to be right. So with my brown colour, if an email went out, because they were all brown, with the wrong typeface, the wrong point size, I would be extremely cross, because it is all about the little things. It's a combination of all the little things that builds a fabulous business. And as soon as if I go to business and they have a filthy, dirty front door, or there's litter on the floor when I walk in, I think, these guys, they don't care. They don't care. So I'm not confident that giving my business to these people, they're going to care. Yeah. So I get what you're talking about. You can, as the words go, can I say this? You can shit the detail.
You can.
But actually, the detail matters as long as you get on and do it quickly.
That's my point in terms of detail. 100% matters, but I think a lot are using it as it's procrastination.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas you were getting on and doing things, but still making sure everything had to be perfect. And you've made me think of the saying, how you do anything is how you do everything, or the big things live in the little things.
Sure.
And there was one other, I'm full of anecdotes.
Yeah. You read a lot of books. So
I do read a lot of books, and that's what I was going to say. You made me think of, I think it's Jan Carlsen, he wrote Moments of Truth.
Yep.
I think he took a failing Scandinavian airline company into crazy profit. And he said something like, if there's coffee stains on our trays, what does it say about our engines?
It's so true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have, not many times it must be said, clean stuff on the outside of a window of one of my Foxtons or M&P offices, because it makes a point to the manager, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You can't put up with this. You got to go in and look around, not be. And it does take a skill set, because the managers and estate agents want to sell houses, but they also have to have a more general view of what's going on around them.
Yeah, agreed. So, fast forward then to 2011, sold to LSL.
You've missed the recession.
I missed. You said it was easy. You said compared to the early 90s.
Oh my God.
You said it was easy.
It was one of the most horrific experiences of my life.
Okay. Let's.
No, I'm joking. I mean, I don't want to talk about it much, but that recession was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay.
Because I learned more in it than I've ever done before. I was playing at business before.
Interesting.
It was all about turnover and anti-clever, and wow. When we bought M&P, it was turning over 2.5 million in 2005. By 2007, it was turning over 18 million.
Okay. Wow.
So we had grown dramatically. Again, totally changed it. Got great people in. The market was with us. Yeah. So it takes hard work and luck to be successful, and we had a bit of both. We had a lot of hard work and quite a lot of luck. And then the recession came. And I have memories of being in my Friday meeting. I have a Friday meeting end of month the last Friday every month. Everyone comes in, shouts out their figures. We had £1 million run rate, so it cost £1 million to open the doors.
Okay.
And the scores on the board at the end of the meeting were £247,000.
Christ. Okay.
So I had to stand up in front of 150 people and say, hard luck, lads. Better luck next month. Let's go to the bar. Thinking, oh my God, I'm £750,000 underwater. What am I going to do? And my business partner, my Irish business partner, Sherry Fitzgerald, wired £1 million on Monday morning. So, that was terrifying. And then, you cut ridiculous costs, and we cut some unbelievable costs. You get rid of expensive people if they're too expensive, blah, 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 blah. You fine tune the whole business. And then you are firing on all 12 cylinders when you come out the other side, which we did. And that's when we sold to LSL in November 2011.
And then you stayed on until your exit in March 16.
That's right. So almost exactly 10 years ago.
So you timed that pretty well, as if you knew which way the Brexit vote was going to go.
Well, of course I knew all that, yes. No, in life it's hard work and luck, and that was luck. But I could see, one, the Brexit vote, and two, George Osborne massively increasing stamp duty. So I had a 4-year earn out, and we opened 4 offices per year for 4 years. So it was bloody hard work. And then I thought, well, I can get the rest of my money and I can ride off into the sunset. And I did.
Because on your LinkedIn profile, it made me laugh because it said after that point, a gap year. Yeah. And you normally hear of gap years from someone who's just finished their A-levels or finished university. So what did a gap year look like for Peter Rollings?
Oh, I probably had a gap 10 years. No, not quite. I was lots of travel, fun. I got advice from my chairman, a guy called Michael Bulk, who is a marketing guru. He ran Abbott Mead Vickers for 25 years. And he said, Pete, take 6 months. Don't say yes to anything. Because it's not too cocky to say I got lots of calls to say, we'd like you to come and do this. And I said pretty much no to everything. Because, once you've been through that sort of, 2 buildings of businesses, it does suck the life out of you. And so I thought, no. So I went to Borneo with them first for a couple of weeks, and then Australia. I go to Australia quite a lot. My eldest son lives in America, so actually he didn't then. But so, I do a lot of traveling.
Okay. And you said about, unsurprisingly, you get a lot of messages. And it's come out in the industry press recently about your involvement in Nesti. So shout out to Luke and Morgan. That's how this connection came about. And Luke and Morgan are fantastic guys. And they reached out to me and a while ago and had conversations with them. So what is it you look for in, I guess, the people and the businesses that you get involved in? And what are the things which are big red flags for you where you're like, that's an immediate?
It's a good question. Now I probably get a couple of calls a week saying, can I send you the deck?
Yeah.
We're looking for either advice, or it's usually free advice, or investment, which I don't mind doing. I shouldn't have said that really, should I? Anyway, cut that. It's quite fun. I like thinking about business. What I don't want to do is to build a business again. I've been there, done that. And it's just, as I said, it sucks the life out of you. But I've invested in about 7 or 8 businesses over the last 5 or 6 years. Some are, most are still going. Some are very successful. I invested in something called Fixer, which was an amazing investment. Very lucky. I introduced them to lots of agencies, and quite a few are using them. And then Nesti came up. And I really like Luke, Morgan, and Will. Will's the tech guy. He's
I forgot Will. I played golf with Will, actually. Not a very good golfer.
Isn't he?
Sorry.
and you are.
I'm all right. Better than him. That's not hard though.
You're right. It's about the people, and it's about what it can do for the industry. And so many of these businesses that I come across, they solve a problem that doesn't really need solving.
100%.
They solve a problem which is about this big, where it should be this big.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a lot of work. It needs massive volume to make money.
Yeah.
And it'll probably never make money. And so it's a waste of time. Waste of their time, waste of my time. So I am quite blunt. I may not be right, but I tell people exactly what I think. And I've always done that my whole life. I think it's very healthy. It can be quite upsetting sometimes. Upsetting is the wrong word. It can be quite challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
They can disagree with me, and I really like being disagreed with, because we can have a right old go. Yeah. And I'm certainly not stuck in my corner, but I think it's important to challenge people. So I challenged Luke and Morgan a lot and what they did. I loved the overview of it. It is there to help agents get rid of all the sort of the chaff and just focus on the wheat. And that is what Nesti does. It takes away all the rubbishy incoming phone calls that don't need a human focus and get to the gold nuggets much quicker.
It's kind of, I felt like in recent years with kind of proptech fatigue, that so many agents have become such like busy fools and running around like headless chickens with all these different pieces of tech. And it's like, well, it's there to free up your time or make you more money. And if it doesn't do one of those two things,
absolutely right.
To your point a few minutes ago, get rid of it.
Yep.
And really, you want to have something that point of free up your time or make you more money. Does it help me have more of these conversations in people's living rooms? Because that's where I'm earning money, is speaking to people about buying and selling homes.
And finding those people, because you get a lot of calls of, and let's face it, I mean, when I first was sent the Nesti sort of a little recording, I played it to a mate of mine who's an estate agent. I said, what do you think of this? I'm not sure. This was 6 months ago. It was only okay. The latency was not great, and there was quite a lot of. And he said, well, yeah, it's okay, but realistically, it's probably better than 80% of estate agents, because it's very brave. It answers the question. It asks the questions, and it's polite. It doesn't have a bad day. It's not grumpy.
Yeah.
It asks and gets answered all those questions. Puts it on an email or into the CRM, and shows the negotiator, the manager, where the gold bits of gold are.
Yeah, I think the best ever conversation I've had with an estate agent
was an
AI, and very long.
Isn't that depressing? Jeez.
Yeah, very long story short. I filled out an instant valuation form. And then the phone rings and I answer it, and the conversation and I'm playing hard to get.
Good.
By the end of it, it's understood that, and it's real life scenario. I'm actually looking to sell my house, but real life scenario. By the end of it, it's like, right. So to recap, you've been in business for a couple of years. You're just waiting to get your 2 years accounts. You need help with a mortgage. You're coming to the end of a 2-year fix. And it sounds like we should be getting in contact with you in February. Does that sound right, Simon? I'm like, yes. Great. I'll put a note in the diary. We'll give you a call back in February or whatever it was.
Magnificent.
And I just hang up, and I'm just like,
I love it.
Wow. Like, absolutely incredible.
I heard of someone, I do a bit of work with Leaders Inc., who used to be Property Academy, and I have a group of, several groups of estate agents that we meet a couple of times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. And one of them told me a story the other day that he had a call wanting to speak to Lucy, and Lucy's not available, and he demanded to speak to Lucy, and Lucy's their AI.
Yeah.
Because he was so impressed and really liked her and wanted more information on something. So that's how it should be. It should be a team member. And the way it's got to now, and it's moved incredibly quickly in the last 6 months since I've been involved, nothing to do with me again, the tech has moved incredibly quickly, that in some cases, you'd be hard-pressed to know it's not an estate agent, not a real person.
You've mentioned a few times now about, like, it wasn't me, but you seem to have a knack of being in the right rooms with the right people. And it reminds me of, like, that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's like, surround yourself with people who are better at you at the things you're not good at.
Absolutely. That's part of employment as well. You mentioned it earlier. If you've got 2 similar people, 2 massive focused salespeople running a sales business, it's a problem.
Disaster,
you need to have someone that is doing could be here, doing the operations and making sure all the little things are working for this guy or girl to really do their stuff. And it's the same with business. You know, my number 2 at M&P was a girl called Lisa Jane Kelly, who now runs Savills London. You know, she is a remarkable human being in so many ways that I'm not. She's much more empathetic than me. You know, she really understands people and can calm people down, whereas I get more. I'm a bit feistier and get more stuck in. I'm not too feisty, but I do push people and wanting to make things happen, because I think it's important. I think management is an underused asset these days. You let people just get on with stuff, and I think management is essential.
Yeah, you've made me think of, I like my sport, and particularly football, and you have a player who has loads of ability but just didn't didn't quite do something under that manager, and then a new manager comes in. So
Exactly
I'm a
right.
big Liverpool fan, and Jurgen Klopp was like just incredible for Liverpool.
Yep.
And what he got out of the players was phenomenal, and the relationship they had with him.
Yep.
Like they would go to war for him. They'd run through brick walls.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what a manager should be. I mean, a really good manager, and they're hard to find, is an inspirator, is tough when they need to be, is very kind and understanding when they need to be. I've always said if people are trying, I will sit with them forever. If they're taking the piss, I will be brutal.
Yeah. And I feel like there's too many, I guess it's a personality type of people who get into an agency, but there's too many people pleasers out there. Yeah, I mean, the comps say 500, but you say you want 550, I will give it a go. But the ones who go, the comps say 500, and I have a duty of care to you, like if you put it on at that, but like we're not going to see any results. And look at all these comps, like I'm giving you the best advice, but how many are just going, I just want the listing?
Again, you are right, but you know, you and me know both. We've been in this business. I used to value 150 houses a month. It was ridiculous. I was out on the road. So you do people please, and what you may do is say, look, at 550, it's very expensive, and I will be calling you in a month's time when we've shown 10 people around to get the price down to 495. Is that okay? Because you gain the instruction. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win a prize. So I have email and WhatsApp conversations with Stato Watkins. And because he bangs on about it the whole time, and he's right. It is ridiculously to overvalue, but I understand why people do it. And as long as they overvalue and set up the client, then it's fine. But I have valued things before when they said, I want a proper valuation. No, don't give me any bullshit. And then I call them a week later and say, I've instructed Winkworths at 550, and you told me it was 500. Why? Oh, they convinced me. You know, so it's difficult for an agent.
But I think you're so spot on there, and such fantastic advice of, again, you've got to buy a ticket to win a prize. You're right, but the agent is going in, taking the overpriced listing, but they're not saying when they take it, by the way, when X doesn't happen, they're not setting up. So when it comes to 4 weeks down the line and they say, we need to drop the price, hang on a minute.
You told me it was worth 550.
And then, and you talk about
it's weak, and they'll also do it for 1%. You know, at 550, I would say, okay, if I get you 550, I want 10% of everything over 500. You know, so I think you should and could be creative with it. As far as I'm concerned, when an agent ever pitched that sort of thing to me, I loved it because it shows that they're bought into it and they are looking at the upside. Everyone should be looking at the upside. An agent's job is not to sell a property; it's to get more than you can. Because I've often said any idiot can sell a property. It's a piece of cake. If it's cheap. But that's not an agent's job. It's to get more, earn your fee, and that's why your fee should be at least 1.5%, probably 2%.
So you made me think of, anyone can sell a tenner for a fiver.
Sure, exactly right.
And I had, are you familiar with David Abbott, the author of How to Price Your Platypus?
Sure.
So I had him on the podcast.
He's a good guy.
And it was funny when I think he said, I don't know if he'd got a parent going into a care home or if they'd passed away, but him and maybe siblings had inherited a property. And the siblings sort of saying, oh, well, this agent said they'd do it at this fee and it's a cheaper fee. And he's like, well, actually, I'd like to flip that. And to your point on creativity, he's like, I want to actually give them an incentive. So if I get this price, this fee, if I get this, and this.
I love it. I always use that, the step fee. I think it's great.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, okay. So if you were to go back into a estate agency today and you were launching Simon Gates Estate Agents in Newport Pagnell.
Good Lord.
Yeah. What a reaction. What a reaction.
I don't think I've ever been to Newport Pagnell.
You don't need to, trust me. That's why we're here.
Well, that's the first thing I wouldn't do. I'd start it somewhere else.
Okay, let's pretend. You're being so mean, Peter. So we're launching Simon Gates Estate Agents in Newport Pagnell, and I have got the incredible honour of having you as like my right-hand man with all your experience. And I'm like, Peter.
The answer is no, by the way.
I'm not doing it. Where do we start? What are you saying?
People. Start with the people.
People. Okay.
Of course. Yeah, you go and hunt out the number one agent in Neg in Newport Pagnell and get him or her on board.
Okay.
I mean, that's why EXP have been successful, and I think they have been successful, or a proportion of their agents have been successful. Are we going to touch on broker?
Yeah.
Because the broker model will work with some people. It'll work with people like you and me that have been around for a while. It won't work with the 21-year-old who doesn't know anybody and doesn't know anything and hasn't been in an estate agency. You can't, in my view, go into be a broker agent from day one, because the whole be-all and end-all of our business is instructions. If you don't have instructions, you can't make commission.
They're the lifeblood, yeah.
It is. So you have to have some sort of understanding, and what the really good guys in broker agency, in self-employed agency, will, I think, have at least 10 years experience in the area.
So on the experience side of things there, so I joined straight from school in 07.
Yeah.
So my learning curve was it was mad at 16. It's like, it wasn't that I was good. I had one phone here and one phone here. There's deals happening left, right, and centre. Then all of a sudden, overnight, it wasn't changing the window cards from sold. It was taking the price down every week.
Yep.
Now, I've done this exercise a few times with agents. I'm like, right, hands up in the room. Who's been an agent for more than 15 years?
Yep.
And not many hands go up. And you go, so actually, an agent today could have 10 years experience, which is a long time, but they've never worked a bad market.
No. You're right. I mean, it's a bad market in London at the moment. London is tough. London hasn't gone up in 10 years.
Yeah.
In fact, it's come down. So, but you're absolutely right. I mean, when I went through that 07, half of 07, 8, some of 9, my learnings from 89, 1991 put me in great stead. I understood what had to happen, and pretty bloody quickly. So you're right. I mean, people who've been through those recessions are worth their weight in gold.
Is the saying, I'm going to butcher it now, it's something like bad winds make a great sailor, or it might be, it's something along those lines.
I haven't heard that one, but yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. If you understand what's going to happen, and you have to be ahead of the curve, then you've got chances. If you're reacting the whole time to the shit that's coming at you, it's a problem, and you need. I mean, I think agents don't use mentors enough. This is not an advert for me, but it is an advert for maybe you, maybe people in the business and in the market that've been there and done it, and can actually offer their wisdom as to how stuff happened in a recession, how stuff happens now. So I think so many people think they've been an agent for 3 or 4 years and they know it all. Well, they don't.
Having that, accountability partner and someone with a helicopter view on it. The amount of times I think actually I speak to very experienced agents, and after a conversation, it's like you already kind of knew the answer somewhere. It just needed to be prized out.
Well, that's to do a little advert for Leaders Inc. That's what happens. I mean, I've got a group next week it's called the Elite Group, and there's 7 business owners, and they are, as the name suggests, business owners and elite. They are brilliant. And we're basically in a room for 6-7 hours and we share ideas.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely inspirational stuff.
Yeah.
Non-competing from different parts of the country. And I learn a lot and they learn a lot. It's great.
Yeah. I've had a couple of meetups over the past 6 months, which Luke and Morgan have attended, where I've had 15 to 20 different suppliers in a room. Not competing. It's all about collaborating. It's sharing, like you said, challenges, ideas, connections. And it's been brilliant, like hearing from people who have maybe a little bit ahead of you, or they're in a slightly different sector, and it's brilliant. I've sat there both times just being, this is why I've set this up, was for those kind of conversations.
Well, it's true. I mean, we were very, very at Foxtons, much less so at M&P, but at Foxtons we were very secretive. It was like our Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe, just Coca-Cola recipe. No one could know it. Yeah. But actually, it's not secretive. Everyone knows how to do it. They just don't.
I think that's a key thing as well, actually, that the amount of agents I speak with where they're scared of someone getting their secret sauce or copying them, and it's like, but they can't replace your authenticity, and are they going to be as consistent as you are and do it?
It's true. I mean, it's not everyone knows it. It's not what you know, it's what you do with it. And
Yeah.
most agents don't do it. You know, the structure of the day at Foxtons, I've told you, I did it at Marsh Parsons and the business just flew.
Yeah.
And I would bet you 70-80% of agents in the UK don't do it.
Yeah.
Now, why? I mean, it does my head in.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
As the saying goes, success leaves clues.
Sure.
Yeah. Right, I have a closing tradition on the podcast.
Oh, God.
Which, don't worry, I've completely and unapologetically ripped off from Stephen Bartlett.
Oh, yeah.
From Diver CEO. So he has the last guest ask the next guest a question, not knowing who they are.
Right.
And he very cleverly monetizes that sort of thing by selling them as conversation cards. Now, we're recording this in the studio, and I don't have my cards with me, but I've got a picture on my phone. So I'm going to get my phone out, and I'm going to ask you a completely random question.
Oh, goodness
And
me.
my girlfriend has actually sent me this picture of the card, so I don't actually know what the question is
So
until
it's from
I
your
open it.
girlfriend?
No, you know. Right, where is it? So the question, genuinely, it's the first time I've read it. The question I want you to answer is, how would you be able to tell that your time here on Earth has been successful and that you've achieved what you set out to achieve?
Blimey. I mean, success comes in all sorts of ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, monetary success, family success, moral success. I'd like to think I've been successful with the money side of things. I came from my parents were tenant farmers. We came from no money. And so coming from no money is extremely useful in my view. And therefore, with it makes me concerned that I now have a bit of money. I don't give too much to my two sons because they have to remain hungry. Yeah. I think I've built two businesses and I've helped enormous amounts of people get work. Success. Yeah, I would say that's it. I would say that's it. Very proud of the family I've got and the way my boys act and behave. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what I've achieved in business. So I think I've left some good things.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, so for everyone listening, watching, please do like, review, subscribe, share, follow the podcast. And that just leads to say, Mr. Pease Rollings, it's been an absolute honour to interview you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, that was fun.
Guest.